Venerable Sariputta. Origins and enlightenment. The Venerable Sariputta was born into the wealthiest Brahmin family in the village of Malacca, in Upatissa, about 3 miles from the royal capital Rajagaha of the kingdom of Magadha. He had 6 siblings. And notably, all of them later renounced worldly life to follow the Buddha and became extraordinary arahants. From an early age, Venerable Sariputta had a close friend, Venerable Maudgalyayana. Both were extraordinarily intelligent and virtuous, earning admiration and respect from everyone near and far. Wherever they went, hundreds of young Brahmins would follow, requesting to become their disciples. Recognizing the fleeting and illusory nature of life, the two friends nurtured a deep desire to seek the truth of liberation. They initially became disciples of the ascetic Sanjaya, but he lacked the virtue and wisdom to guide these two remarkable youths. Therefore, they continued their journey in search of the radiant path of the ultimate truth. One morning, as Venerable Sariputta was walking through the bustling streets of the vibrant Rajagaha, surrounded by the chatter and movement of countless people, his mind was filled with profound contemplation. Suddenly, he caught sight of a monk in the distance, walking with an alms bowl in hand. The monk was dressed in a simple brown robe, exuding a serene and refreshing radiance. He walked with dignity, his every movement imbued with a sense of tranquility and transcendence. Each gesture, every raising of the hand, every step, and each gaze conveyed a profound peace unmarred by any trace of disturbance. Venerable Sariputta felt his entire being captivated by the monk he saw. Without realizing it, he followed the monk in silence. When they reached a quiet spot outside the city, Venerable Sariputta knelt down, clasped his hands, and said, "Venerable Sir, I am Sariputta from the nearby village of Upatissa. Seeing you fills me with indescribable reverence. Your demeanor radiates purity and tranquility. May I ask, who is your teacher? And what doctrine do you practice? Please teach me so that I may understand." The monk introduced himself as Assaji, a disciple of the Buddha, Shakyamuni. He then recited a verse. All phenomena arise due to causes, and they cease due to causes. The great ascetic, my teacher, has explained this truth. As soon as the verse was uttered, Sariputta experienced a profound awakening. He exclaimed, "How marvelous is this truth! I have seen the Dhamma, and my mind has realized the Dhamma." In that moment, Venerable Sariputta entered the stream of the noble path, attaining the first stage of enlightenment, Sotapanna. Overcome with emotion, he bowed deeply to Assaji and raised his hands toward the sky, paying homage to the Buddha. That very morning, Sariputta returned to find his close friend Maudgalyayana. Upon hearing the verse, Maudgalyayana's face lit up with joy, and the two rejoiced together. They bid farewell to their former teacher, the ascetic Sanjaya, and immediately set out for the Bamboo Grove Monastery, Velyavana, to meet the Enlightened One. Hundreds of disciples followed them. The Bamboo Grove Monastery was nestled in a serene forest of green bamboo, where people lived in harmony with nature. As the group walked along the forest path, a wide courtyard came into view. Monks and lay disciples were seated in an orderly manner, filling every corner of the area. At the far end of the courtyard sat the Buddha. When the Buddha saw Sariputta and Maudgalyayana approaching, he paused and remarked, "Here come Sariputta and Maudgalyayana, a perfect pair of virtuous friends. Come to me." Everyone turned to look, their hearts filled with admiration. The two friends hurried forward, prostrated 3 times before the Buddha, and instantly appeared in the attire of monks, their hair freshly shaved and clad in simple brown robes. The young disciples accompanying them also followed suit, ordaining one by one. after receiving guidance on meditation topics. Both Sariputta and Maudgalyayana dedicated themselves wholeheartedly to their practice, meditating day and night. Within just 1 week, Maudgalyayana attained arahantship, the final stage of enlightenment. 2 weeks later, Sariputta also achieved ultimate liberation, putting an end to the cycle of birth and death. In the presence of the assembly, the Buddha declared the appointment of Sariputta and Maudgalyayana as the foremost leaders of the Sangha. 2. Leading the Sangha. No community in the world can compare to the Sangha of the Buddha. From the moment the dawn of the Dhamma began to shine, the Sangha became a homeland, a sanctuary gathering radiant saints of virtue. If the Buddha is the sun that spreads its light, then the Sangha is the fertile land where the seeds of enlightenment are nurtured to sprout. Therefore, the responsibility of leading the Sangha is sacred and noble. The stability and development of the Sangha are the future of the Buddha's path. Venerable Sariputta fulfilled this responsibility flawlessly. After receiving this duty from the Blessed One, that afternoon, Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Maudgalyayana took a stroll around the Bamboo Grove Monastery to observe. The monastery was beautiful, small huts with thatched roofs nestled under the shade of bamboo groves. The soft golden light of the afternoon reflected on the river, creating rippling, sparkling waves. However, in the future, the monastery would need to expand to accommodate the thousands of male and female devotees from all over. Daily living conditions would also need improvement so that the monks could focus their energy on their practice. As the two continued their gentle walk along the paths, they noticed that the soft, smooth ground would become muddy during the summer rains. Venerable Sariputta said thoughtfully, "Dear brother, I believe we will need to rearrange quite a bit here." "Certainly, brother. Please share your ideas, and I will lend a hand," replied Maudgalyayana. Then, the two ascended into the air. Venerable Maudgalyayana waved his right hand, and a layer of small stones immediately flew into place, paving clean, elevated paths. Meanwhile, Venerable Sariputta, like a masterful architect, carefully designed layouts, positions, and structures with skill and precision. He considered the practical needs of everyone to arrange everything thoroughly and thoughtfully, while viewing the entire landscape as if crafting a masterpiece into the heart of nature. Stone benches were scattered near the bamboo groves, allowing monks to discuss the Dhamma in the afternoons. The lecture hall was expanded to 3 times its size, with a seat of jade adorned with a canopy at the front. Meditation huts were humbly nestled under shady, tranquil trees. The bathing area was discreetly hidden beside a clear blue pond, interspersed with patches of grass and flowers. Courtyards, walking paths, and charming verandas harmoniously enhanced the setting. The Blessed One's private chamber was situated perfectly on a spacious, elevated piece of land near a small, singing stream. During the day, bamboo clusters cast their shade, and at night, the chamber's windows opened to welcome the rising moonlight. By the time the monks returned that day, the Bamboo Grove Monastery had taken on a completely new appearance. It was now spacious and well-equipped, yet it retained its simplicity and serene elegance. Later, Venerable Sariputta played a crucial role in the construction of the Jetavana Monastery. The monastery was built on a spacious plot of land along the main road leading to Savatthi, the capital of the Kosala kingdom. Savatthi was a bustling, prosperous city that served as a hub for commerce, economy, culture, philosophy, and religion in ancient India. With his extraordinary wisdom, Venerable Sariputta foresaw the significant role this location would play in the future of the Buddha's teachings. Therefore, he oversaw the construction of a monastery that was one of the largest and most impressive of its time. The monastery included numerous sections, both large and small, that were logically organized and efficiently arranged. It featured lecture halls, meeting halls for Sangha discussions and teachings, dining halls, guest houses, infirmaries, storage facilities, wells, bathing areas, and latrines, all meticulously designed and well maintained. Although the Bhikkhuni Sangha had not yet been established at the time of construction, the monastery was planned with provisions for future expansion to include a separate section for bhikkhunis. The architecture was designed with advanced techniques and standards, featuring pointed arches, elegant patterns, and sturdy, clean structures made of bamboo, wood, and terracotta bricks. Despite its modern amenities, the monastery maintained harmony with nature. Inside, there were scattered ponds, streams, grassy areas, flower beds, and ample shade provided by large trees. In practice, Jetavana Monastery became the largest center for training and disseminating the Dhamma within the Sangha. The Blessed One resided there for 19 rainy seasons, and it was at this monastery that he delivered 844 discourses, which constitute a significant portion of the Tipitaka. Venerable Sariputta infused life into the Sangha's daily routines. Each morning, as the dew gradually evaporated from the leaves, the monks would finish their first meditation session and begin dividing tasks among themselves. There was much to do, rearranging tables and chairs, clearing the leaves that had fallen during the night's rainstorm, or tending to monks who were still unwell. On days when the Buddha was scheduled to teach, large crowds of lay devotees would gather, filling the lecture hall and even the walkways, requiring the monks to guide and assist them. Thanks to the skillful delegation of tasks, no one was overburdened, allowing them to preserve their energy for afternoon meditation sessions and maintain mindfulness while performing their duties. Entering the monastery was like stepping into a serene inner world. The monks carried out their responsibilities with care and calmness. Whether sweeping leaves or walking with dignity, the rhythm of the Sangha's life flowed smoothly, like the steady breath of meditation. Once the daily routines of the community were well established and self-sustaining, Venerable Sariputta quietly devoted himself to silent sacrifices and ceaseless service. His heart always embraced the entire community. With his medical expertise, he personally took charge of treating the sick, beneath small huts, under bamboo groves, or beside babbling streams. One might often find the venerable leader tending to ill monks with compassion. During journeys, Sariputta rarely walked at the front of the group or immediately behind the Buddha. Instead, he often stayed at the rear, watching over the monks to offer help if needed. On one occasion, he returned to a temporary shelter late at night to find no sleeping space left. Smiling serenely, he gladly gave up the best spots to his brothers and quietly set up a small tent under the trees. He spent the night in meditation, accompanied by the stars and the sounds of insects. The awe-inspiring authority of a wise and capable leader earned Venerable Sariputta the respect of the entire Sangha. At the same time, his loving and protective nature made him a model elder brother within the community. His guidance, advice, and encouragement were always met with attentiveness and reverence. Thus, he unified the Sangha harmoniously and naturally, becoming a true pillar of support and inspiration for all. On that occasion, Devdutta split from the Sangha, leading over 500 young monks astray. Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Maudgalyayana personally went to counsel them. The two elders spoke gently, without casting blame or passing judgment. Venerable Sariputta delivered a discourse on the Four Noble Truths, skillfully highlighting the greatness of the Blessed One and the sacred bond among the Sangha. He patiently clarified the misunderstandings that had arisen. As he spoke, his words were filled with love, compassion, and forgiveness. With the heart of an elder brother, he moved the hearts of the assembly. The monks listened attentively, their minds filled with deep emotion. When the discourse concluded, Venerable Sariputta softly said, "Now, those who are disciples of the Blessed One, please follow me back." In the end, without needing any further persuasion, the monks quietly fell into line and followed Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Maudgalyayana back to the monastery. The Sangha, with open arms, warmly welcomed them home. 3. The General of the Dhamma. From the night of his miraculous enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, the noble path of the Buddhas, long obscured by the thick dust of time, was rediscovered, revived, and proclaimed by the Blessed One. For this, he was honored as the Supreme King of the Dhamma in the three realms. Throughout the 45 years of the Blessed One's teaching and journey across the world, Venerable Sariputta remained his most capable and steadfast supporter. The Buddha affirmed, Sariputta can rightly turn the wheel of Dhamma that I have set in motion. Thus, in the realm of the sublime teachings, the Blessed One proclaimed Sariputta as the General of the Dhamma. Whenever the Buddha delivered a discourse, Venerable Sariputta would organize and distill its essence, then explain it in detail to monks or lay disciples who had difficulty understanding. He often gently reminded and encouraged his fellow monks to advance in their practice. When guiding his brethren, Sariputta was incredibly gentle, patient, adaptable, and persistent, like a sweet, flowing spring. If someone failed to comprehend a point, he would patiently explain and guide them, sometimes repeating himself 100 times. Each time, he would approach the topic from a different angle, using vivid metaphors, a withered leaf about to fall from its branch, the sound of ocean waves crashing against the cliffs, an elephant's footprint etched in the earth at night, or the simple roofs of houses clinging to the mountainside. These images inspired his listeners, filling their hearts with enthusiasm to ascend further along the grand road of liberation. Countless people attained spiritual fruition through his guidance and assistance. Among them were eminent figures such as Venerable Ananda, the great benefactor in Athapindika, and Elder Bhaddiya. The Buddha once praised Venerable Sariputta as a compassionate mother giving life to her child. He led sentient beings to the first stage of sainthood, Sotapanna, and continued to reveal, proclaim, and illuminate the vast and profound truth of the Four Noble Truths. For this reason, the Buddha frequently entrusted Sariputta with the task of teaching the Dhamma on his behalf. Sometimes it was due to other engagements, but on other occasions, the Blessed One simply wished to be present, witnessing and lovingly listening as his outstanding disciple shared the Dhamma with the assembly. Thus, like showers of Dhamma rain, Sariputta's teachings brought solace and enlightenment to hearts parched by the scorching trials of life. Sariputta's wisdom was extraordinary and all-encompassing. On many occasions, the Blessed One extolled him as a shining example, inspiring profound respect among the Sangha. Among my disciples who possess great wisdom, Sariputta is supreme. Bhikkhus. Sariputta is a true son of the Buddha, born of the mouth, born of the Dhamma, formed by the Dhamma. He is a rightful heir to the Dhamma, not an heir to worldly things. 4. The Heart of Earth. After the rainy season retreat, Venerable Sariputta, accompanied by a group of monks, sought the Buddha's permission to travel to another region to spread the Dhamma. Draping his robe properly and carrying his alms bowl, he bid farewell to everyone. He carefully greeted each monk, humbly clasping his hands in respect before taking his leave. However, the crowd of monks escorting him was so large that he unintentionally missed one. That monk, feeling slighted, became angry and used this as an excuse to complain to the Buddha. Blessed One. Sariputta acts as though, being the leader of the Sangha, he has no regard for others. The Buddha, upon hearing this, responded calmly. Could there be some misunderstanding? Sariputta is not someone who behaves in such a manner. Nevertheless, the monk persisted in his accusations, even spreading the story among others. The matter quickly reached the entire Sangha. Those who had attained enlightenment merely smiled and gently advised caution. But some newly ordained monks became unsettled. At that time, Venerable Mahakasyapa, Venerable Mahakasyapa, and Venerable Ananda invited Venerable Sariputta to return, hoping that his presence would resolve the misunderstanding. Upon his return, the Buddha addressed him. Sariputta, there is a monk here who is dissatisfied with you, believing that you disregard others and fail in your responsibilities. Speak now and share your thoughts with the assembly. Venerable Sariputta replied. Blessed One, I ask your permission to speak about the reflection on the body that I practice and uphold. This is also the spiritual gift I wish to offer to my brothers. Blessed One, I always regard myself as earth. The earth is peaceful and joyful even as people trample upon it. Likewise, I vow to remain peaceful and joyful when others disregard or mistreat me. The earth welcomes and absorbs the filth and waste that people discard. Similarly, I vow to embrace even the ill thoughts or harsh words directed at me. Blessed One, just as the earth endures plowing to grow lush orchards or fragrant rice fields, I vow to endure any harm to bring happiness and joy to others. Just as the earth nurtures and supports all beings, I vow to honor and assist anyone who seeks me out in this life. Blessed One, I regard myself as a humble Chandala worker, content to perform the lowliest tasks like carrying waste or cleaning refuse, cheerfully accepting the commands of others. Similarly, I vow to perform even the humblest of duties to bring joy to all. Blessed One, I see myself as a cleaning rag that wipes away the filth of the world and accepts that filth upon itself. I vow to take on all that is unwholesome and impure, so the world may remain clean and fresh. Blessed One, I see myself as water that cleanses the world and then flows into the drains. I vow to serve others and then quietly flow into oblivion. Blessed One, I see myself as fire, giving light and cooking food for the benefit of others, only to return to ashes scattered by the wind. Blessed One, I see myself as the wind that cools people during the heat of summer, bringing refreshing rains, only to dissolve into the void. Blessed One, I view this body as impermanent, destined to return to dust. Each day of life requires the toil of nourishment and care. Blessed One, with such reflections, I harbor no contempt or ill will toward anyone, nor toward any sentient being. My heart overflows with love for all beings, wishing that they may love one another and follow the noble path of liberation. That day, Venerable Sariputta roared the lion's roar, affirming the truth. His words reverberated across the heavens. When his teaching concluded, the earth trembled like an earthquake. Everyone present was moved to tears. The monk who had falsely accused him wept as well, kneeling down to beg for forgiveness. At that moment, the Buddha said, Sariputta, accept this monk's apology. If you do not, he will face terrible karmic consequences. Venerable Sariputta humbly clasped his hands and replied, Blessed One, I willingly forgive this monk and also ask him to forgive me if I have caused him any distress. The entire assembly was deeply moved by the event. On this occasion, the Buddha recited a verse to extol Venerable Sariputta's supreme virtue. Like the earth, without resentment. Like a pillar, firm and steadfast. Like a serene, pure lake. Like a saint soaring high. Entering Parinibbana. One day, At the end of the rainy season retreat, Venerable Sariputta concluded his meditation and meticulously cleaned and tidied his hermitage. At Jetavana Monastery, the sunlight had softened, and the old trees had begun shedding their leaves. Venerable Sariputta stood silently, gazing at the surroundings one last time as if expressing gratitude for the countless days they had offered him shelter from sun and rain. Then, he walked to the lecture hall and knelt at the feet of the Blessed One. Blessed One, the time has come for me. This body of the four elements urges me onward. Please grant me permission to enter Parinibbana, never to return to this cycle of rebirth. The space fell utterly silent, as if holding its breath, while tears streamed down the faces of the assembly. The Blessed One gazed affectionately at his chief disciple and spoke in a warm, gentle voice. Sariputta, do what you see is fitting. However, from this moment, the community will no longer behold you, the exemplary leader of the Sangha. Leave one final teaching for the monks before you go. Following the Buddha's instruction, Venerable Sariputta ascended a seat lower than the Buddha's and began to deliver his final discourse. His words flowed like a melodious, beautiful song. The discourse revisited countless great eons of the past, recounting how Venerable Sariputta had made his aspiration to kneel at the Buddha's feet, as he now did. Through millions of lifetimes in the cycle of samsara, he had always been a faithful disciple, devotedly following the Blessed One. In this final life, when the Buddha descended into the world to sound the immortal drum and dispel the dark clouds of ignorance, Sariputta had silently supported him at every step. When he finished speaking, Venerable Sariputta knelt and embraced the feet of the Blessed One for a long time. Then, clasping his hands, he humbly said, Blessed One, in this life or countless past lives, if I have ever done anything to displease you, please forgive me. The Buddha replied, Sariputta, there is no word or action of yours for which the Tathagata could reprimand you. You are a monk of great wisdom and boundless generosity. The Tathagata grants you leave. With great reverence, Venerable Sariputta bowed deeply to the Blessed One for the last time, then slowly withdrew from his feet. At that moment, the earth trembled as if bidding farewell to a great saint. Finally, with hands joined high in respect, Venerable Sariputta retreated step by step until the Blessed One's form faded from view. He then began his journey back to his birthplace, Nalaka, to visit the home where he had taken his first steps in childhood. His mother, Lady Rupasari, was a noblewoman, though advanced in age. Her face retained a regal grace. All 7 of her children had ordained under the Blessed One and attained enlightenment, but she regarded this as a source of discontent. She did not believe in the Buddha, revering instead the Brahma gods, whom she considered the greatest. Venerable Sariputta returned to guide his mother toward liberation before entering Parinibbana. That night, as Venerable Sariputta rested in his room, a pure fragrance filled the air, and brilliant rays of 5-colored light descended like shooting stars, illuminating the entire space. Lady Rupasari, unable to contain her curiosity, entered and asked about the phenomena. Venerable Sariputta explained that these were the deities from the 4 great kings, Sakka, and the Brahma realms coming to pay homage to him. Overwhelmed with emotion, Lady Rupasari realized that her son surpassed even the divine beings she had venerated for so long. She reflected on the immense virtues of the Buddha, who must be even more boundless and exalted. In that moment, her faith in the Triple Gem blossomed into its fullest light, and she attained the first stage of sainthood, Sotapanna. Venerable Sariputta gazed at her and smiled gently. His filial duty was fulfilled, and his worldly obligations completed. He closed his eyes, entered into successive stages of meditative absorption, and peacefully relinquished his body. attaining final parinibbana. Outside, the sun was rising in the eastern sky, and celestial flowers gently fell from above.